if we just state what is subtext, maybe they'll see. As someone who's honestly less invested, right, in in the myth around the United States.
It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it.
I felt like this was sort of besides the point and a little overly patriotic, but it does reveal something that I think goes sort of assumed by, for instance, the white police officer in the documentary, because the thing that is obvious is he wants her to go back into danger because she is Black.
Yes.
Right. And he's not her police to the degree that it's his job to protect her. Right. And she's reminding him, right, and underlining something that we all know, that for the longest time, what we're living in now, I think in a lot of ways, is the subtext of white supremacy just being text, right? Because they're in power, right? But at the time, it's so interesting to think about it now. There was this kind of optimism, even though I think I, like many people, felt very dubious about, Barack Obama and what was possible. But I think I'm remembering this sort of optimism where it was like, if we just state what is subtext, maybe they'll see.
Young Drunk!
Hey, welcome to the Micheaux Mission. 2 men, 1 podcast, every Black film ever made. My name is Len, a.k.a. Len, and as always, I'm joined by my partner.
Hey, this is Vincent Williams.
Tonight, we are closing out September's Doc to School as we celebrate great Black documentaries, and we are going to the year of 2017 to review the documentary Whose Street, a very personal account of the uprising in 2014 in Ferguson that we will be reviewing tonight here on the Micheaux Mission with our very special guest, the award-winning cartoonist and political brain thrust. And I mean that because he has schooled us both right here before the cameras went live. Put your hands together, missionaries, for Ben Passmore. What's up, Ben?
Ben?
Thank you. I wasn't sure if we were supposed to clap.
No, absolutely. Look, you clap for yourself.
I did.
If no one else claps for you.
That's right, man.
Welcome.
Thank you. Brain thrust.
Brain thrust.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what that was.
No, pause a little bit on that, if I could say that.
Please do.
A little bit. I know that's a rough start for me.
No.
It's cool, man. But welcome. Very excited to have you here, man.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Most definitely. Ben is here to review Whose Street, but he also is here to promote. He has a new graphic novel that will be hitting the bookstores actually next week. Black Arms to Hold You Up, a graphic history of Black militant life and resistance over more than a century. I got an opportunity to look at it a little bit as a book where you were quite literally shot into history.
Yes.
To back into history at significant times in the history of Black militant resistance. What led you for this collection?
Oh, well, obviously I wanted to bum everyone out. No.
No.
It's,
keep it real.
I mean, it's something, and I end up talking about this in the book. The Black radical tradition, New African history, Black liberation history has been an essential part of my life since the first book I came across when I was institutionalized as a teenager, and I was in this library. I was in this troubled teen academy, which people are a lot more aware of now. At the time, I didn't know where I was really, but I was in the library and I came across this book called "Look Out, Whitey," because Black Power is coming to get your mama. So my attraction to the title, I think, was obvious.
Sure.
It's like right next to books about Thomas Jefferson or whatever, and that's it's by this brother named Julius Lester, who I believe was a Panther and later became an Israelite. But the book itself is talking about what we think about the Black Power era, a bit of the civil rights period before that, and it was totally new to me. You know what I mean? And at the time, being a criminalized kid, right, and someone who felt a lot of shame, right, for the situation I was in, but also feeling like I was trapped in a cycle. It gave me a lot of context, right?
Okay.
For the world itself, and also a lot of the forces is sort of crafted around me, right, to make sure that I was in a place that I was, you know.
It makes you start looking at your own surroundings a little differently.
Yeah.
Sure.
And especially, I'm from Western Massachusetts, a place with not a whole lot of Black people.
So I hear.
And no, you don't, because no one's there to tell you. So yeah, I mean, you know, in a lot of ways, the sort of white liberalism of the area only perceives Black people as objects of pity, as James Baldwin puts it, right? So this also gave me a source of pride, right? Because the history of the Black Power movement, like all our history, is, you know, something to be proud of.
Yes.
And I think very much it's an area where they don't want to talk about it because it introduces a lot of discomfort for them. So at different times in my life, 2017 being a good, you know, example of a period in which I needed to draw from it again for answers, 2020 being another one. So the book came out of this personal relationship I had with this history, and also this desire to sort of put people on to what you might call more obscure figures in this history, and also to sort of help people understand that there's a continuity between, like, you know, say a Marcus Garvey and a Mike Xavier Johnson in 2016, who shot several cops in Dallas in response to the murder of Philando Castile. Because people, you know, so anyway, there's a philosophical connection, and I view them as being part of the same movement. And also, both of them came out of a culture, right?
Right.
And we don't talk about that so much. We talk about people, you know, Assata Shakur, who recently passed, is a good example. We, you know, venerate people who are spectacular, right? But I think in a lot of ways, the forces around us want us to think of them as unique. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
And rather like one spectacular person in sort of a community of spectacular people.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's interesting, and we could talk about the book a little bit more. But I think that's an interesting segue into this documentary, Whose Streets, because one of the things that I really appreciated about this this documentary is that it is about just seemingly regular people just living their life intentionally with purpose, you know, being activated by what has happened at that time, which was the shooting of Mike Brown Jr. But having that activation, you know, be the fulfillment of the purpose in their life and the intention and the movement of their life, starting in 2014 all the way through to where we are now.
But you know, even that, and I like your observation that that resistance is communal and resistance is community. With this documentary, it was, in my mind, it was equally as much about a reaction to what happened to Michael Brown as it was what happened after that. Like the way Michael Brown was treated, the way the community was treated, where you got the sense that so many of the people in the documentary would rather just live their lives.
Yes.
Like, I would rather just live my life, but I can't live my life in a quote unquote regular way. Because of everything around me, and I have to rise to the occasion.
Yeah, I forget who said it, but sort of towards the end of the documentary, I think it was the one brother who was doing Cop Watch. He said, "When the cameras go away, I still have to live here."
Right.
Yes.
And that landed on me like a ton of bricks, because, you know, obviously he's talking about the spectacle, the media spectacle, right, around him. This was so social media focused in a lot of ways too. Like it's this period in which, like, there's just so much footage and commentary every second, right? But I also thought it was interesting because in a lot of ways, the way we're living or what we're seeing in the government now is, among other things, a reaction to this time period, right? This perception that everyday Black people, off the strength of indignation and sorrow, could topple the country down. Even though like things like slogans like Black Lives Matter, things like that, conversations have changed. These are really an expression of faith in the country, right? It's like we're not, they are not, these people are not asking for the destruction of America, right? They're asking for an adjustment, equality. But, obviously, we can see very much, obviously, people like Trump see that as a fundamental threat. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, let's just get straight into the review. Whose Street is a 2017 American documentary film about the killing of Michael Brown Jr. and the Ferguson Uprising. It was directed by Sabah Falayan and co-directed by Damon Davis. They, along with cinematographer Lucas Alvarado Ferrar, began work on this project in 2014 when they traveled to Ferguson during the protests and riots that followed police officer Darren Wilson's killing of Michael Brown. Davis, who was a St. Louis-based artist, was already at work documenting the events, while Falayan expected to do so as well, but write about what she was taking in. However, seeing how everything was being depicted in the news media, there was a feeling that they couldn't keep up with the news cycle and maintain justice with what they were seeing. So that's when they decided to change things over into making this documentary that focuses on 7 main characters, particularly Hands Up United's co-founder, Tori Russell, Brittany Farrell, a young nurse and young mother, and David Witt, which is the person that you mentioned, Ben, the recruiter for the civilian organization Cop Watch. And this was actually a very well-received and well-regarded documentary when it came out in 2017, and with strong positive reviews. And watching this film is interesting. The person you mentioned, David, well, even not just David and as well as the young lady, Brittany, you see how they're living their lives, how they are activating in these protests in the streets, very, very organizing. David with his camera, he's going out there with his camera with his crew of cameramen, which I thought was really, really strong. These young Black men, going out into these streets. I thought another interesting moment in regards to that was one young man mentioned that he didn't have a record before he moved to Ferguson.
Right.
And now he's got a sheet long just because he's out there with his camera and being, arrested for, civil unrest or what have you. But I thought it was interesting that...
Well, that and the policing for profit, which we got to talk about, but go ahead.
Right, that's true. But I thought it was interesting with David and Brittany. I like the juxtaposition of seeing them, in the streets doing their thing in protests, but also their home life and how they were raising their children with intention, with honesty and transparency of what's going on as well. And then we're talking about young children, but treating them with, letting them know, hey, as much as they can, this is what's going on. This is what it means to be Black here in America, in Ferguson. And I did like that. It was a great moment where her daughter actually gets up and leads the crowd in a chant at the end of the film. So it was real powerful.
I thought it was really well done, the way they framed the importance of shaping the narrative, and how much of that is really drives a lot of resistance movements. And so, Ben, you're talking about linking it to the history of resistance, and I always think about that aspect of the quote unquote, the civil rights movement, about how much of it is sort of like asymmetrical because they were saying, we have to control the images. We have to control this. And
yeah.
And certainly we can talk, respectability, politics, and how that played into it.
Right.
But at the same time, you have to admire the conscious effort to control the narrative, because you know how important that is. So I saw so many parallels with the way Brittany and especially David talked about, we have to capture this footage. We are keenly aware of when the big stations are down here filming and when they're not filming, and what they're showing and what they're not showing. And ultimately, I think just as craft, the documentary isn't really as crafted as some things that we've watched. But you get the sense, like you said, that wasn't necessarily the goal. The goal was to document. And I thought it did it really, really well.
To be in the space where it's happening.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, something that stood out to me, particularly as someone who, I was not in Ferguson at the time, but I was in New Orleans where there was BYP 100 and other groups were organizing solidarity rallies, dealing with cops, right? Similar situations, and it's just very different. And when you're in those spaces, you'll see mainstream media is like, they're down the block, right? You know what I mean? And there may be have a whole bunch of footage of like this one piece of trash that's on fire, right? And that kind of footage is very different than the footage that's in this documentary, where you're like, oh, I'm in the crowd that's getting shot at right now,
right?
Yeah. And for a bit of the movie, I wasn't sure how I felt about that, because it can be a bit of in a way, it can over-essentialize the street conflict without you necessarily getting a sense of cause and effect. Like they did talk about the police starting it. I thought it was one scene that was like very resonating that I also remember at the time is the one brother pulling out like all the tear gas and the less lethals and all that stuff. And someone else, and I really like this because it came out in 2017 in Palestine. I feel like for as many people talk about it now, it really wasn't part of the conversation. But one person was like, this is just like Palestine, right? And I remember people talking about like the police are trained by the IDF. Right. So I really, really liked that. And eventually like came to understand that all of this footage is one, right, it's highlighting how violent the police are. And also when you think about, it's also really showing you the consequences of people trying to do something that is actually not very confrontational at all, right? They're trying to march, right? They're trying to videotape. So it really, if you didn't know before, it's very, very risky to do something that is actually very, very simple, right? Right. Very, very basic. That if it certainly, I remember at the time people making a point. It's like, look, there's not just black people out here, there's white people out here. But from the footage and from my memory, it's like it was a black movement, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And certainly, if it was a white movement, I don't think they would have brought the army down there.
Of course,
you know what I mean.
Well, we saw that here on January 6th.
Right.
Yeah,
Frankly,
exactly.
I think that's part of the frustration that this administration is having right now.
Right.
That so many black people are like, okay, we gonna hang back. Because they want that visual. And as you said, release the hounds when it's black bodies. And so much of it you see is provocation. Like we're trying to push you. Like I love the part where they talk about the quick stop burning down. And one dude says, yeah, but you got to understand, they shepherded us in this parking lot. They, they again, provocation. Someone reacts, frankly, very humanly, and now the cameras come out.
Of course.
Exactly.
So,
Of course. And then that becomes the image that on the major news media,
Right.
that's all you see.
Right.
It's the burning quick stop. That's the propaganda
Right.
that's going out there, and you're not seeing anything. You're not seeing, because I thought it was a cool, interesting moment, a powerful moment when the young woman who was out there, and she was out there in the streets like everybody else, but it started to get a little, she was like, I maybe need to leave. Hey, my car's right down there.
Right.
Can I go to my car? No, you've got to go back.
Right.
Wait a minute. So my car's there. You're the police. If you're saying that you're still here to protect you, I can't just go there and get my car. You want me to go back into where all of this is going on? Like, what sense does that even make?
Right.
Yeah. It's interesting, and I felt very complicated because about this, the end of the movie, it sort of illuminates a section of the Declaration of Independence.
Yes.
And at the end, being like, if you whatever, I don't remember verbatim.
But if the government,
it's like we can abolish or alter, right? The government, it's
right.
We're entitled to do that if it's not fulfilling, right? These goals, and I always feel as someone who reads a lot about or reads a lot of books and watches interviews, stuff around the civil rights movement. Someone I thought about was Robert F. Williams, who is sort of like the grandfather of the Panthers in a lot of ways. He wrote a book called Negroes with Guns. During an era where people were emphasizing nonviolence resistance, he was like, listen, I'm not going to shoot a white man, right, straight out. But if he shoots at me,
right,
I'm going to shoot back. And famously, he ran the Klan out of Monroe, North Carolina, when they came in. Him and his NAACP chapter exchanged gunfire with them and ran them off. So, but he would quote from the Declaration of Independence all the time. And I always was, as someone who's honestly less invested, right, in the myth around the United States, I felt like this was sort of besides the point and a little overly patriotic. But it does reveal something that I think goes sort of assumed by, for instance, the white police officer in the documentary, because the thing that is obvious is he wants her to go back into danger because she is Black.
Yes.
Right. And he's not her police to the degree that it's his job to protect her. Right. And she's right. She's reminding him, right, and underlining something that we all know that for the longest time, and I think what we're living in now, I think in a lot of ways is the subtext of white supremacy, just being text, right? Because they're in power, right? But at the time, it's so interesting to think about it now. There was this kind of optimism, even though I think like many people, felt very dubious about, Barack Obama and what was possible. But I think I'm remembering this sort of optimism where it was like, if we just state what is subtext, maybe they'll see.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. It was a little shocking seeing him and Eric Holder and remembering.
Right.
I had to remind myself that he was still president.
Right. And him sort of, the sort of calm demeanor and Eric Holder. And it really was like, wow, how do you reconcile Blackness with this?
Yeah.
At this moment where it's the subtext, but it's still the same kind of result.
Yeah, I forget who it was, but very early on in the movie, he was like, I'm still waiting for a Black president.
Yeah.
That brother man was looking at Barack on television.
Right.
He's like, because that ain't it.
Right, exactly.
And hindsight is 20/20, but it really is. It's difficult to sit in this moment and watch something like this. And as you said, there was this optimism, and you think about back, and it's like was it optimism or was it naivete?
Well, I think it was legitimately optimism.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, as always happens, when you are feeling very optimistic, when there is hope, they're going to find some way of chinking at it and chiseling it out of you, which I thought that this documentary was smart in showing that in the midst of that, you still had two people who found each other in Brittany and Alexis, found themselves coming together and forming a family. And in Brittany's mind, forming, is it a new normal? Is it just normal? Why can't it just be? You know, what it is. And I thought that their story, I really resonated with their story, like their founding of the creation of their family in the midst of that. I thought that was very strong. And again, I was also just really taken aback at how young they were.
Yes.
And to be so forthright and powerful and having people waiting for them to come out of prison when Brittany is like locked up and look like babies, look like teenagers, you know, leading these masses. I thought it was very, very, that left me hopeful. That left me a little optimistic.
Yeah. I like that you brought that up. And also just remembering that something about like the Black Lives Matter movement that was, to me, significant and unique in certain ways was that period that women, particularly like queer women, right, were very visible, were on the front lines, and in a lot of ways broke a lot of barriers, right? Created this sort of normalization around like, look, like we have this significant contribution to give, right? And I do think is really great for that. You know what I mean? But also, yeah, it was painful to watch these very, very young people, you know, go through all this, even though knowing liberation movements are youth movements.
I was about to say it. People are usually very young.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, you have to be so optimistic, right?
Right.
You have to be and you have to have so much energy.
I was about to say, and frankly, a bit reckless.
Yes.
Like you need that energy. You need that youthful kind of putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know, I often feel like the older I get, the best we can do is support. Like, you know, support any way you can. Because young people.
Well, it sounded like you were saying that you maybe were younger when you kind of got maybe activated.
Yeah, I mean, I was 16. I don't think that turned into activity. Well, I don't know, because I was part of an uprising inside of the school. Which
really?
It was a long story. But anyway, it's
okay.
But yeah, I was part of a brief uprising in the school.
We're gonna have to have drinks then, apparently.
But yeah, when I got out, the Iraq War was going on. Bush 2 was in power, and you know, I came out having read this book, also a very dense book about Marcus Garvey, including a lot recreations, a lot of paper. So I came out like very nationalistic, and then I also read Howard Zinn's People's History, and I was reading Noam Chomsky's books.
Were you finding these works on your own, or were you directed?
No, I had a friend who, well, the Julius Lester book and Garvey, that was all me. I think I had heard of Marcus Garvey, but I just saw this book with, you know, him in the hat, and I was like, well, I gotta read. You know what I mean? Two very strong covers, you know what I mean? And then I had a white teacher in the reform school who put me on to Howard Zinn and Noam Chomsky. So, representing my biraciality, Marcus Garvey, Noam Chomsky.
Sure.
So I came out of the school, and I was part of anti-war protests, and then I moved to New Orleans and was involved, in the BP oil spill started a couple months after. I was part of a lot of things with that. So but I was probably in my mid-20s.
Okay,
you know what I mean, when I got in. So I was younger for sure. Something I think a lot about, because we're seeing now the Gen Z uprisings, right? Nepal being, I think, the most spectacular and successful in a lot of ways. We're seeing it in Madagascar. So these are certainly youth movements, but I think also like something in the United States that's been really unfortunate, and Asada's passing is sort of reminding me, is that the generation of the 60s and 70s, a lot of these people were incarcerated, killed. Right. Some people, Kwame Ture, for example, like he went to Africa and then died in his own words, sort of suspiciously of a cancer, of an aggressive cancer. So we really, I think in some ways we're used to this bisection of generations where you look at like a place like Myanmar. Stop me if I'm getting too obscure. But like in Myanmar, I think a lot of the conflict against the junta by, like the Karens and all sorts of ethnic groups, but also these student groups. And it's like this coalition of different politics, but a lot of why their youth group was survived because they were getting shot at with live rounds by the military. And they went to the tribal, they went to the Karens, were like, look, we need help, da-da-da. And in those tribal areas, they had been fighting the junta for generations. So there's generations of knowledge. You know what I mean? And I think in a lot of ways, we're missing that. Because the kids do need help, right?
Yeah.
We can see even in this documentary, this emphasis on the die-ins, on chanting, on legal, these sort of legal pathways, there's conversations. And I like that they represented this early on when talking about the quick stop. One activist says they're calling the burning of this quick stop violence and comparing it to his death. They can rebuild a building. Right. That's not the same. And so the murder of a child is violence. Exactly. The burning of a building is a burning. So I like that they represented that. But you could see that there was a lot of replications of strategies that in a lot of ways previous generations had already
we've seen
talked
this
about,
movie.
Right. And had confronted these contradictions. You know what I mean? So I saw that too, and I remember that, right, from being around having these conversations. And because I was a nerd and had read Garvey, right? I had read I was like, but Robert F. Williams already responded to this. You know what I mean? Kwame Ture already explained this.
We already got this. We already know. We know how this is going to go.
But I think that speaks to the tension that we started with. I think what you are speaking to, you sort of you sort of have this presupposition that people are born into the struggle. And I think so many of the people involved in the Black Lives Matter movement, including the people in this documentary, never viewed themselves as activists, never viewed themselves as revolutionaries before this moment. So they never thought they had a reason to know about these strategies and these philosophies. And then you find yourself in the moment.
Right, exactly. And in a lot of ways, like maybe more effective because they were not part of, an activist class, right?
Yes.
There was a moment in the movie where they're at some sort of NAACP, convergence, and there's the older guy sort of talking on, and they start this chant,
bring that up.
like "Let the kids speak, let the kids speak," and remembering that the NAACP among other sort of legacy, like activist organizations, were really highly focused on capturing what was happening in Ferguson.
Right.
And you could see, and it really lifted my spirits when I, saw it from a distance, and being like, no. Like, we understand what you're doing, right? And that there was sort of this like multi sort of fronted boundary where we talked about how they were like, we understand that the media is not here for us. You need to leave. We understand that the police are our enemies. You need to be pushed out of our communities. But also, because I remember Jesse Jackson showing up, and there's a viral video of a man going up to his window, and it's like, go bail people out. Right. Don't get in front of these cameras.
Right. That's right.
You know what I mean?
Like, do something. Yeah, I like that at that activation, the another person that they follow here, Tay Poe, I think is his name.
Tef Poe,
Tef Poe, yes. The poet rapper in there. And he gets up there and he is demonstrative and forthright and tell it like it is right there on the stage. Like, hey, you clergy people, y'all weren't out here on these streets with us. We need you. You talk about this, the youth behind this movement, recognizing we need the help. We don't need this. We don't need this pomp and circumstance. Right. We need you out there in the streets with us, either beside us, if you want to help organize it or order our steps in a way, be part of that conversation, be part of that movement.
Or bail people out.
Right.
Like this is what an army travels on its stomach, as they say. So, buy food, bail people out.
Yeah.
Write a check.
Right.
And play your position.
Exactly.
Right.
It's not necessarily the sexy position where you're in front of the camera and you're the grandstanding head of it, but
that's where you need to be.
There's it's later in the movie, but there's like the large march in St. Louis, and there's a moment where I forget the sister's name, but she was like, I'm gonna take a selfie for Twitter.
Right. Oh, yeah,
and being
yeah,
like,
yes.
yo, Twitter was so huge at the time. And I remember the Arab Spring, that Facebook was like, it was huge. I mean, like, yeah, social media, but it sort of reminded me of like another contradiction of that time that I think we're still sort of living in this like this social media hyper focus, right?
Right.
Where it did become in a lot of ways a competition for footage, for you know what I mean?
That's true.
In a lot of ways that has been true, right? And in some ways, like the NAACP's shortcoming was just their lack of understanding, sort of twofold. One, that if they're going to show up, they should show up and do what they say that they claim to do, right? And be primarily a logistical support, right. For liberation movements. But like we've come to see, and now is a good example where there's so many political leaders who, prior to Trump being elected, they were like, we're your political leaders, and you know what I mean? This is a fight for our lives, and now they're silent. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yep.
Because like over and over again, right? Like, I'm thinking of Asada, right? Who passed in Cuba. Matulu Shakur died, I believe, either this year or last year. On the way here, I drove by the Philadelphia Masjid, where a local revolutionary, Russell Moon Shoatz, he passed, right? I think a couple months after getting out of prison.
Yep.
You know what I mean? The people who live for the material realities of revolution often don't make it, right? The people who do the oratory, talk about, let me get in the room and sort of talk, like coordinate or whatever. Of course, they're going to live, right?
Right.
And that is sort of a memory, and it's any sort of documentary about the Obama years. I always think, man, we really never got a chance to address some of these shortcomings. You know what I mean? Which I think this documentary does a really, really good job of just showing it's just showing everything.
Yeah,
it's hard for me to even imagine there's much on the cutting room floor.
Right.
Because it's almost a 2-hour movie, right?
Yeah.
Hour 45.
Yeah,
It's very long for a
It's
documentary.
long.
I was thinking that.
It's long, but it's my favorite type of documentary because it is, like you said, I doubt there's much on the cutting room floor. It's all up there on the screen.
Right.
And while it's relating a narrative, it's not trying to relate, I don't feel, a decided point of view. It's it's putting it up there and you take from it what you will.
Right.
And I like that type of documentary.
Having said that, and I mentioned it because I'm very passionate about this. I could see a more expansive project.
Oh yeah,
where
certainly.
they talk about the aspect of the money and the fact that so much of American policing is really just around generating money. They talk very briefly about the ticketing.
Yeah.
And revenue that ticketing provides. I mentioned it when you said, the brother said he moved to Ferguson and now he has a, 20.
His rap sheet is right.
His rap sheet. Yeah. But all of this is connected to court costs, lawyers, fees, prisons for, like, all of this is interconnected. And you see how, and there was so much conversation at this moment about how this informed all of this in America. It's like, haven't read extensively, but the new Jim Crow always jumps in my head where they talk about it so much in there, that so much after Reagan and kind of starved the beast, and these cities had to figure out how to make revenue. And St. Louis is not a city that generates revenue. They got to figure out how to make money. These police departments have to justify their own existences.
Right.
And it all comes down to this very adversarial, very hostile, very confrontational policing. And, it's right there on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. At very literally every tank, right?
Yeah.
Like every piece of body armor.
Right.
Yeah, it's this irony of right there, they're very much profiting off of this population to to get the instruments that they then shoot into the crowd, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's a really good point. It did make me think about, right, because there is a kind of documentary, right, that gives you some background, gives you some stats, And I was watching it thinking about like, okay, so who is this for? You know what I mean? Like, who is the documentary for? And I think in a lot of ways, almost feels like a scrapbook or a collage or a photo book, right, of this time.
It's a moment, time capsule.
Right, for someone who already is invested, right? Like who's already invested this. Like if you are, because there is going to be plenty of people who sees this, all the street stuff and then blocking off traffic, even the gay marriage, and be like, well, listen, I don't, you know what I mean? Right. And it's not for them, right? It's not trying to convince anyone who isn't already invested in it. And I think there's certainly a strength in that because I felt very touched by it. You know what I mean? Like I said, I was not in Ferguson for this, but I had spent that same period of time out in solidarity marches. And so much of the sounds, right? The sounds of like exploding, even 2020, the sound of like explosions in the street and the, all this stuff, even the getting blinded by, I was like, man, this is triggering, right?
Yeah.
It's teleporting, you know what I mean? But I appreciate it for that, you know what I mean? Because it felt like it did a really good job recreating things.
Yeah. And you're right. It's like, this was the footage is from 2014. The documentary comes out in 2017.
Right.
So it's almost 10 years old now.
Yeah.
If that comes out now, it's probably a 5-6 part Netflix documentary that gets more expansive.
Right. And then now you get the talking heads.
Well, you get the talking heads.
The economists and the historians. And
or you maybe get multiple cameras and you're following your one episode is following more just the ticketing. One is following the women in this movement because they're powerful women. Mike Brown's mother is a powerful figure in this documentary as well. So it's interesting. It's just amazing just to think in the space of 5 years this would have looked totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting thinking about, now you search Netflix for documentaries and it's all true crime, right? Like that what our conception, like this kind of documentary, like a kind of documentary that assumes like a certain, like the audience trusts the camera.
Yeah.
Like I think very much that doesn't really exist anymore in the same way.
Not at all. Not at all. Documentaries so much more now are truly pieces of propaganda.
Yes.
I mean, they are have always been propaganda of a sort, but like you said, there's been like this implied trust in documentaries over the years that frankly has kind of withered away.
Yeah. You were a loser if you watched documentaries.
For real?
In college, I lost several dates because I came off like a dude. I'll be like, "Oh, you watched The Corporation? It's what? Is it a TV show? No, it's an interesting documentary. In the second CD, there's interviews. I watched all of that. You didn't watch it? Hello?
Bad connection.
Right. Yeah. In more than one way, right? You know?
But that's real talk.
Yeah. Now it's a guilty pleasure. It's crazy.
Okay. Now it's like, let's find a good documentary to watch.
Exactly.
The
white lady died where? Okay. Strap in.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Amen. I'm curious to just like, okay, well, let's finish off on the documentary. Would you recommend that people see Whose Streets?
Yeah, I would absolutely. In fact, I'm gonna send it to a couple people right now. I won't be surprised if they don't watch it. Seeing just the runtime, it's definitely it's an investment, right? I think this is a probably like a maybe a selective suggestion, right? Especially because it is more of a collage, right, than something that packages a convincing, right, like platform,
right. Okay, what about you, Vincent?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think we're like it's the most cliche of cliche things to say, but like we're living in this 1984 moment where reality isn't reality, and people are telling you yes is no and up is down. So that I think at this moment, documentation is so important because people are rewriting history and saying that what we saw with our own eyes didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think just as a resource, this was invaluable. This was invaluable. Again, just this capturing of this moment. So I would.
Yeah, and I would agree. I'll make it 3 for 3. It is a capturing of a moment, but I do feel it can prove to be a bit of fuel for these times. Because I think that it showed, again, that you can make a difference. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
You know, and it doesn't have to be a big difference. It could be a small difference in your town, in your moment, because you are still there in your town, like David, like Brittany, like Alexis, like Tori, all of them. And that and sometimes the difference that you can make is just be an example of what you want, of what can be. You know what I mean? And I think that everyone on display in this documentary proved to be an example. They were fighting a fight, but they were also living the fight. They were living intentionally. They were living with purpose. And I think that is a very reinforcing lesson that people need, especially in this time when, you know, yes, have we maybe collectively like, all right, y'all got it. See what y'all going to do. Y'all do what y'all going to do. Maybe so. But we can still be living purposefully. There's still small change. We can set the example of what we want to be, what we should be, and what we want what's coming after us to see. Emulate what this world can be. I found it uplifting in that way. Okay. So I hope that other people can find that.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, there you go. That is our review of Who's Street, which is available. Hey, free plug. It is on Hulu right now. You can check that out. We don't give a lot of plugs, but there's that one.
Is it on Hulu or Tubi?
I saw it on Hulu.
I think it's on both.
Oh, well, good. See it wherever it is.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah. There you go. And you know you watch Tubi. You watch Tubi. You know, there you go. And Ben Passmore, he has a new book, Black Arms to Hold You Up, which is a new book documenting about the resistance. Past guest of the Micheaux mission, David F. Walker, says of Ben Passmore has entered a realm where personal creative brilliance intersects the historically profound, and in doing so, he's created a masterpiece. Well, that's high praise.
Yes, I'm going to have to text him and thank him for that.
Yeah. And I have to say, I've been following you since your Black friend.
Oh, wow.
So I'm looking forward to this.
Where both of you following me.
Me and David following you doesn't sound it's not quite as creepy as it sounds. Because me and David just talk to each other. You know where Ben is now.
This man a little smart. You can draw.
Very nice, very nice. And the book it will be on sale at booksellers everywhere. So look for Ben Passmore's Black Arms to Hold You Up, a history of Black resistance graphic novel. I must say, man, I find your art very, very just, it's very captivating. It's fun. What I like about your art is that it's serious, but it is still very playful in like your character designs. But it's relatable in that way for me because I'm like we're both comic book nerds, like because you know.
I find it unsettling, but I mean that as a compliment.
My drawing?
Yeah, but I mean that very much as a compliment.
Oh, interesting.
Like I find
Bottom
it
Feeders was a
unsettling,
little
almost as almost in like an EC tradition.
Oh, okay.
Like there's something that kind of
Really?
it does. There's some Basil Wolverton. I feel like.
I mean, I will say that and
again, that is high praise.
Oh yeah,
because I love that kind of pulpiness and.
Yeah, I definitely read a bunch of EC titles. At 42, right? Like the grim stuff I was really into. But also one of my inspirations was like Daniel Klaus. So I think it's also drawing.
Oh yeah.
Right?
I see a lot of that.
So, yeah. Particularly in a bunch of the lettering and compositions I'll pick for sure. I mean, I did a horror book with Ezra Clayton Daniels.
Yeah, Bottom Feeders.
But I also, before that,
That's
I did
what's
some
unsettling.
That was, it's very gooey. A lot of gooey stuff.
Thank you. Because I don't like body horror.
I didn't want to say anything. I was like, wow, Lynn, because, what you just said.
Look. True story. I went to, you probably know Philadelphia, Malcolm Comics and Coffee House. Went there. The owner is like, you got to read Bottom Feeders.
Yeah.
All right. Grabbed it. I brought it home. I opened it up. I have not read Bottom Feeders. I have read 3 pages of Bottom Feeders, and I was like,
Oh, that's very flattering. It goes against what I was going to say that I generally think the way that I draw, since it's more cartoony, I believe makes things like gore a little easier to look at.
no.
Okay, well, I'm wrong.
It's subversive, so it makes it even more unsettling.
Oh, interesting. Right, because you're not expecting it.
Because you're not expecting.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes. So yes, I had to be talked into letting you come here.
Right. This has been deep comic talk.
Right.
All right. So that's been our review of Who Street. Now it is time for the Game of Kings, which you have all come here for.
Which is also gory and unsettling.
6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin.
I'm scared because I'm terrible at this.
That's D'Urville Martin.
He looks familiar. I'm telling you, brother, I do not. I'm terrible. Terrible at acting.
We shall see. 6 Degrees of D'Urville Martin, where I give Vincent 2 actors, and he has 6 films or less to connect them to that mustached anarchist himself, D'Urville Martin. And he has his lifeline, Ben Passmore.
Yes.
Here to help him.
You're gonna have to pick a new word for what I am. Dead weight. Maybe.
All right. Vincent.
All right.
Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. All right. Keeping it in theme, we reviewed Who Streets tonight. So, connect D'Urville Martin to these 2 stars who were in films that had street in the name.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Starting with, in 6 movies or less, connect D'Urville Martin to John Saxon. Yeah, this is easy.
Right. I only know him from one movie.
Which is not the street one.
Yeah. You know John Saxon. He's a white guy in Enter the Dragon.
That feels racist. I don't know every white guy.
No, there's only one white guy in Enter the Dragon.
There is only one white guy in
That's
Enter the
John
Dragon.
Saxon.
That's his name?
Yeah.
That's his name.
Yeah.
He plays Roper.
Yeah. Which I'm sure he's in other movies.
I feel like I've seen him in something else.
He's been in quite a few films. Another one that has street in it.
Well, it doesn't matter because I didn't see it. All I know about is he the white dude. You know how cool John Saxon is in Enter the Dragon?
Really? Okay.
Oh, I think he's very cool.
Okay. Go
Like
ahead.
he can't fight a lick.
No,
like
he
it's
can't.
all aura and just, attitude. The easy way is, of course, to go through Jim Kelly, but let's get a little saucy.
Okay.
Let's get a little saucy. All right.
That's the only name I knew.
That's the only name you know.
Everyone knows Jim Kelly.
You know someone else in it too, and I'll tell you who.
Oh, I know what you want to say.
All right. D'Urville Martin is in
Sheba Baby.
No, he's in Watermelon Man.
Okay.
With
Godfrey Cambridge.
Godfrey Cambridge is in Cotton Comes to Harlem with Raymond St. Jacques.
Mm-hmm.
Raymond St. Jacques is in Change of Mind.
Oh, your movie.
With Leslie Nielsen.
Yes.
Leslie Nielsen is in Airplane with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in Enter the Dragon.
No, he's not.
Yeah, that's
he's not in. He's in Game of Death.
Yeah.
Oh,
Enter the Dragon is on.
All right. Well, in that case, I gotta use Jim Kelly. You're right. He is in Game of Death because that's what Chuck Norris is in.
No,
Chuck Norris isn't in Game of Death.
No,
Chuck Norris is in Return of the Dragon.
He is in Return of the Dragon.
All right. Well, then never mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
John Saxon is in Enter the Dragon with Jim Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Kelly is in Three the Hard Way with Fred Williamson.
Okay.
And then Fred Williamson is in Black Caesar
with
D'Urville Martin.
Very good. Vince.
Wow.
There you go.
Well done.
Yeah.
Just to finish the loop, the street film that John Saxon is fifth lead in is the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Really?
Is he really?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. Yes, he is.
What's he doing in that?
Dying.
Acting. And dying.
I thought it was just a bunch of kids.
Well, there's always one adult.
Right.
There's always one adult.
I'm happy John Saxon stayed alive that long.
What do you mean stayed alive that long?
I don't know, I just thought he died. Like I thought Enter the Dragon
84.
Is he alive right now?
He don't seem like someone that still be alive.
That's good. Why y'all saying this about John Saxon?
Those are hard years. I barely made it. You know
He
what
also
I mean?
seems like he eats a lot of red meat and smokes.
That's true.
He passed away in 2020.
Okay.
Well, that's a good run.
That's a good run. Yeah,
It's
he
a-
was born in 1936, so that's a
It's
good
a
run.
longer run than I thought someone who was familiar with pork chops 2 or 3 times a week would have gone.
I don't think he ate them 2 or 3 times.
He did. He seemed like he was a manly man.
Yeah.
He was in good shape, and for a time he was on one of the those primetime soap operas.
And you think those people are healthy?
He makes a good point.
You only do one take. That's stress. That's stress alone.
Sitting behind this desk.
My man was like, he's got to be healthy. He's doing the worst acting gig in the country.
Lynn just wants to believe in him.
Look, John Saxon was a dude, man. He was on Fantasy Island, Love Boat. He did a bunch of stuff.
Okay.
You said he was a hater, and I'm now thinking you a liar. You've been the most positive on this podcast.
All right. Number 2, Vincent.
Number 2.
All right. In 6 films or less, connect D'Urville Martin to John C. McGinley.
Oh, yeah.
You know him.
Scrubs guy.
Scrubs. Yes.
Yeah.
The old man from Scrubs?
The white dude from, the
okay.
older white doctor. He wasn't like old.
Yeah,
he was like his mentor.
Yeah. The dude who talks real animated.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He's been in a lot of stuff. I don't really can pull him really quick from something. Because I like him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like he plays someone who's an asshole, but you still understand him being charming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which he is in this role. So I'm gonna try and be fancy again, because this is a target-rich environment. What he's in.
He seemed like someone's racist uncle that will beat someone else who's being racist.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right. He's very specifically racist.
You keep on,
But D'Urville Martin. Let me see how I can get to.
What movie are you trying to get them to?
I mean, I only really can pull him immediately from Set It Off.
He wasn't Set It Off.
Okay.
I could be cute and try and use some Tyler Perry. I'm going to be cute and use some Tyler Perry.
Yeah, I bet you'll get there in like about 4 moves.
Actually, I actually won't, because Derville Martin. So Derville Martin is in Guess Who's Coming to Dinner with Sidney Poitier. Mm-hmm. Sidney Poitier is in Brother John with Paul Winfield. Paul Winfield is in Sounder with Cicely Tyson.
Mm-hmm.
Cicely Tyson is in, I believe, Medea's Family Reunion.
Yes.
With Blair Underwood.
Okay.
And Blair Underwood is in Set It Off.
There you go. So
with John
5.
McGinley, so 5.
Wow.
5 moves.
But yeah, any of the 4 Set It Off girls gets to him. I may have gotten to him quicker with Tyler Perry with Kim Elise.
That's true, because you could have went, what was her movie?
Diary of a Mad Black Woman.
Yeah.
Because I think Cicely, oh no, that's the same number, because Cicely Tyson is in that too, I think.
I don't think is she in that one?
Yeah. Remember, because it's weird, because I'm so sorry that you have to.
No, this is like watching a magic trick. I can't do this for the life of me.
Remember Medea's genealogy is weird the first couple of movies.
That's right.
So like her
really
relationship with Cicely Tyson, because I think I feel like in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Kim Elise's character is like Medea's grandchild, but Cicely Tyson's child. Like, remember it was some weird thing where it's like, is Cicely Tyson Medea's child?
Okay.
And then by the time you get to Medea's Family Reunion, they kind of start to put it in, and then Cicely Tyson is just like an old elder who yelled. Remember, because she yells at the girls in the booty shorts.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. All right.
Because Jesus wouldn't like booty shorts.
I think I know what our next binge lounge is going to be. We need
Medea's genealogy?
We need to chart the Medea family tree. Yeah, I know, because you've already
Did we talk about this on camera when we were talking about Brian? Are you familiar with the Medea films?
I am familiar.
You know what the most fascinating thing to me is? You know how Tyler Perry plays 3 characters. So he plays Medea, he plays Medea's brother, but then he plays like Brian, which is just him.
Right.
Brian's whole story, because remember, and I'm saying remember as if Ben is sitting around watching Medea movies. Remember in Diary of a Mad Black Woman, Brian's wife was a crackhead.
Yeah.
And then they got divorced and Jesus saved her from crack.
As he does, yeah.
And then, but as the movies go on, there's stuff going on with Brian. Like his kids are growing up. She gets remarried to a rich dude. Like there's stuff that happens
in the background.
Which is endlessly fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll have to be our next binge lounge.
We're going to talk about Medea's genealogy?
Yeah, we'll talk about that on the binge lounge, which you can become and find out if you join us on Patreon. Go
$5 a month.
$5 a month. And you can get exclusive content. The Binge Lounge. We get Len's Secret Movie Podcast, where we're actually going to be recording this week, Vincent. We're recording, me and Ariel. We're reviewing They Live with Roddy Piper and Keith David.
Oh, that's good stuff.
And you can also check out Serial Killers, where Vincent and I just talk about cartoons and comic books and stuff. We may even kidnap Ben over there and let him geek out with us.
That sounds fun. I will know the names of those. I got a better chance with that.
So you can join us on patreon.com/Micheaux Mission. $5 a month, become an exclusive member. All right. That has been 6 Degrees of Derville Martin. We got a couple of emails. Ben, you want to hang out for emails?
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to.
Oh, cool. Right.
Where do I got to go?
You can go right there.
You don't have to go far.
You don't have to go far. It's time for your emails, or as we like to call them,
missives from the missionaries.
So what else is going on? We have emails. Ooh, missives from the missionaries. Just for about 20 seconds. I know. I made it. I made it long.
Lynn loves a good theme song.
No, this is a lot of fun.
Missives from the missionaries. All right, Vincent, we got an email from Doc G.
Hey, what's up, Doc G?
My brothers, your convo on the buddy cop movies was intriguing. I had not thought about Lethal Weapon in a long time, and you are right. In retrospection, it is kind of dark. I would like to add another buddy movie to the mix.
Okay.
I saw this at the drive-in when I was a kid. Vincent. Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford.
Oh, there it is. Salt and pepper.
And Salt and Pepper.
Salt and pepper. Salt
They
and
were
pepper.
club owners who got thrust into dangerous intrigue. It was an early action comedy and probably a breakthrough for that era. Here's to you two, our buddy critics, the good doctor, Doc G. Thank you, Doc G.
Thank you, Doc G.
And if you search through the archives of the Micheaux Mission, we have reviewed Salt and Pepper.
We have reviewed Salt and Pepper. We have not talked about the sequel, which the name just slipped my head.
Well, allow it to keep on slipping into the future.
Yes, Salt and Pepper.
Salt and pepper. It's called Sugar and Cinnamon. That's the
No.
You only wish it was that cool.
Right.
Yeah, Salt and Pepper. Yeah, do yourself a favor. Don't watch that film.
Sammy Davis Jr. and Peter Lawford.
That's all you need to know.
The joke is that Sammy Davis Jr. plays Salt.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And the white dude plays Pepper.
Yes.
It's a joke they repeat no less than 4 times in the movie.
Well, it's the rule of fours is well known in comedy.
Right.
Yes. Anyway, thank you, Doc G, for that email. We got another email. This is from Michael Lockett.
Hey, what's up, Michael?
Greetings, my brothers and fellow missionaries. Len and Vince, do either of you have a soundtrack to pieces or chunks of your life? During Doc to School, I have been bopping in my head, leaning into each of these movies with the song Fly, Robin, Fly by Silver Convention from 1975 rolling around in my head in my headphones. That song is uplifting and exciting, just like the 3 movies leading up to Hale County this evening, which we reviewed last week. I was hopeful that we were going 4 for 4, but nah, Hale County never got me to a place of caring. To me, there is a separation between each main character and their true pain. We don't fully see them, and I think that hurts the movie's impact. And that's kind of like what we said on there. In the Wayback Machine, just to fill you in, Ben, Michael is someone who is watching the movies as we are reviewing them, and then picking an old episode and watching that movie and listening to the review. That's the Wayback Machine, which dropped him and with us and a guest as we critique The Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Great film.
Great film.
Michael continues that it's a powerful film, a Quiet Storm type stuff, in my opinion. Not the slow jam, love, Quiet Storm, but rather a quiet storm where there is so much power emanating from every crevice of this film. Nuance and power in dialogue, story arc, setups and payoffs, and twists. It is a magnificent piece of Black American cinema, and one I wish I had seen on the big screen. And I do think that is a film that more people should be introduced to.
Yeah.
Man, I'm glad that I saw that movie before
Everything with
his case come out. Yeah, because it would have been a little distracting. But it's speaking of soundtracks, that one brother that sang If You're Going to San Francisco, that was just with me for like several weeks after that. I watched that movie. I saw it when I was an ex that I had. They fell asleep while I was watching it. I think it concluded at like midnight, and I took like a whole walk.
Wow.
Through my neighborhood to just sit with it.
Yeah.
It was an incredible movie. You're going to get me any movie where previously, tough brother breaks down and cries with someone he, picked on earlier in the movie. You're going to get me.
Right.
Wow.
Right.
So storytelling.
Yeah. That thugs here.
Exactly. You know what I mean? That gets me every time.
Michael continues. He has a question. Thinking again about Fly, Robin, Fly and it being a soundtrack piece for me during Doc to School, if collaboratively or individually, you had to design a scene in a movie and have Fly, Robin, Fly playing, what would your film be about? And what would be the scene where this song was used. All the best, Michael. Now, are you familiar with the song Fly, Robin, Fly? I know you are. Yeah. Are you familiar with the song?
No, I don't think so.
Fly, Robin, fly. Up to the sky.
Wasn't that helpful?
It was.
Now you know exactly what it is, right?
Yeah, I bet that's what it sounds like.
That is exactly what it sounds like. In a way. I ain't scared.
Obviously.
No, that was brave. I appreciate it.
So, Vincent, Fly, Robin, Fly.
Coming of age.
You in this coming of age. You always go coming of age.
Kids, period piece, late 70s, early 80s. Song plays when some kids are riding their bikes. Boom. Final answer.
Oh, that's easy.
I mean, okay. That doesn't mean it's not right.
I don't like that. Fly, Robin, Fly. See, I almost want to go like James Gunn with it, and it be like.
I see. Like ironic.
Yeah, like in like a remake of Black Frankenstein. And he's he's throwing a girl into the Schuylkill. This is just Fly, Robin, Fly. I don't know. What about you, Ben?
Okay. I'm thinking period to 80s.
Okay.
Irish mine. Coal miner decides to start a soul music band instead of to continue coal mining. Alienates his community until the end, where they all come out in blackface and dance together.
I'm about to say.
You can see it though.
Yeah.
You can see it though. You can see it because it's mining, right? Boom. You know.
Tell you, that was an emotional roller coaster right there.
Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you. I had to be quick. I had to be quick.
Okay.
I think this could work.
Okay. Well, there you go, Michael.
There you go.
There's your film.
You're welcome, Michael.
And there's our emails. If you have emails, thoughts that you want to share with us, please feel free to email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's MICHEAUX MISSION@gmail.com. Ben, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
This has been fun, man. If our audience wants to get in touch with you, how can they get in touch with you, Ben?
Oh man, never call me. No, I'm on Instagram at you can find me at my name or Dayglow A-Hole, which is a comic series I used to do, DAYGLOHYHOLE. I also have a Patreon, which is just Ben Passmore. Otherwise, look out for my book, Black Arms to Hold You Up, comes out October 7th through Pantheon Publishing. Very grateful for them. Nice. You could get anywhere. You could buy it at your local bookstore or steal it from Barnes & Noble.
Well, there you go.
They got a no chase policy.
Anarchist to the end. We're just going to have to put
the views and opinions of the guests of the Micheaux Mission.
We're going to have to put a black dot on his face on YouTube. This guy, I ran out of a court case. Just steal the book.
I haven't been sued in a while, so I'm feeling froggy.
You put that on a card. I haven't been sued in a while.
In a while.
That's the bull quote on the book.
Right, me just holding the book. I haven't been sued in a while.
I haven't been sued in a while.
All right, you can find us on MicheauxMission.com. 2 men, 1 podcast. Every black film ever made. Oh, I got to tell you what we're going to be reviewing next week. But first, you can find us on Patreon, patreon.com @MicheauxMission. Find us on all your social media @MicheauxMission. Like and subscribe wherever you find podcasts, including YouTube. We can hit the bell, subscribe, and be notified of when we go live and when we put up our videos. And please tell a friend about our show. Leave us a 5-star rating and review if you can. The Micheaux Mission streams live every Tuesday night from Young Junk Philadelphia's premier video podcast, Palace. If you want to book yourself in one of the lovely studios that they have here at Young Junk, go to youngjunk.com and book yourself right now. Make it so. And the Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of the Believe Podcast Network. Every sport, every topic, everywhere. Go to Believe.com, BLEAV.com. Next week, here on The Mission, we are moving into BooTober. And we are kicking it off with 2023's The Angry Black Girl and Her Monster. Next week, here on The Micheaux Mission. Until then, he's Vincent, that's Ben, I'm Len, and in parting, we say...
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.
Goodbye.
That's catchy, too.